No, it should automatically. We should be live right now. Yep, we're good. We're live.
Yo. Here we are, live. Bada bing.
Start us off, Pablo.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where tonight's going to be a very interesting night, as it is each and every single week here at the Talk Junkies household. We got Johnny, Jesse in the house. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Just another day in paradise, man.
Paradise, I like that. Jay West?
Yeah.
Here we are. In my basement going live, which we've done for like the past 4 weeks. It's actually been quite beautiful.
Has it been 4 weeks?
I think so, yeah. It's been right around 4 weeks. Tonight's going to be a very interesting night. We may or may not have a person joining us. I think he is, yeah. He just logged in, so we'll get him on here shortly. But before we do that, neither of you had the opportunity to come last week, but we did have a really awesome guest on the show, Tim James. And it was very interesting to me. I know you kind of dived in a little bit at the beginning.
I was able to watch like 15 minutes of it. I was actually at like Price Chopper shopping, saw that you went live, turned it on my phone, was listening to it, tried to go in and out.
While walking around shopping for groceries.
Yeah, and it not necessarily started off slow, but Tim did get into his groove throughout the podcast, and I think that there's a lot to offer there when it comes to eating healthy. What is living foods? What is food combining? All that type of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. I know that when it comes to diet, there's a lot of controversy or what may you have, that type of thing. But if you're interested in eating healthy and eating a living food diet and combining your foods and how you do that and all that type of stuff, check out last week's podcast with Tim James. But tonight, we're going to invite a guy that he literally just emailed me, and he wants to come on the show. His name's Nathan. We're going to hit him up. He's going to come on the show. But we're going to be hitting up Roe V Wade and just our thoughts on that. It's very prevalent in today's society. I know there's a lot of controversy behind the subject. Jesse and I hit up abortion years ago. So look through
probably multiple times, too.
I think we only did
just wasn't one. I mean, as far as like the title of the video and
right,
actually, but we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah, and we're gonna hit it up tonight because obviously we kind of have to. So, 1 second, I'm gonna invite him real quick. So if you guys want to talk about, just get it started, and while I invite him and get everything set up on the live stream and stuff like that, you guys can hit it up. But when it comes to Roe v, do you want to do that, or should we wait till we get him on?
I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way.
Yeah.
Jesse's looking at damn football cards.
Yeah.
No, I'm exiting out of that. I'm over that. I'm catching up with what's going on with.
All right, I'm gonna invite him real quick.
Stuff. Yeah.
Excuse me. I didn't know his Skype would download that fast or whatever.
Dude, he's got that.
I'm just kidding. Skype's probably takes 10 seconds to download.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the 4th of July.
It is the 4th of July. You know what's crazy is this is initially what we were talking about as far as coming up with this really cool idea for connecting podcasters and just being able to talk.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what we're doing right now. You're just having...
Oh, it's just the random... Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. It's just weird that this is kind of happening right now, if it all like pans out.
Dead air.
Yeah, that's what they say on radio. Is that's not what you want.
Yeah, you don't want dead air. You want to be talking. I have nothing interesting to say though until we get to the like.
Well,
I'm not a radio host. You know what I mean? I'm not here to.
That's why
tickle your giblets.
That's why I should be on my phone right now and then have like a burner account to just say some outlandish shit to us, and then that can create some fucking asshole like Chiefs fan 86 is whatever says this, and we can be all up in arms about it, and then we can have a really interesting conversation and combat it. But yeah, we haven't thought it through that much.
I guess I should, since we're live. I guess I should pull that up and have like comments and stuff.
Which is weird. I did not.
Oh, why'd your camera just turn off? I mean, they can still hear audio, but like, nice live stream, Pablo. Oh, yeah, we live right now.
Yeah.
I'm reading what Caleb's saying right now in the comments. It's completely unconstitutional for the federal government to be involved in abortion. So the return to the states is constitutional. However, and then it stopped. There's no more. Caleb got shadow banned in the middle of a statement.
Is that what that is?
No, I don't know. It says however, and then there's a comma, and then it just doesn't continue. Maybe it's my phone, or maybe he's still typing something.
No, mine's the same way now that I'm looking at the live chat.
Are you recording with it? Are you like actively recording actually? No, it doesn't record. Oh, well then it's probably going to keep shutting off, right? Because it's not like it knows you're live streaming, you know? It thinks you're like... Dead air. I got nothing interesting to say, Paul. What do you want me to say? Thought we were going to talk about Roe v. Wade. You're over here trying to get random Jimmy Jones on right now.
Dude, he could be like...
He could be. I'm ready for that.
He could be the Muhammad Ali of...
Foursquare.
He or she, the Muhammad Ali of like the forefront of just how the country needs to be, and we don't want to miss out on that. Or it could be total fucking garbage. We don't know. Oh, well, Carl's on here. Carl, you need to be blowing up fireworks, bro. What are you doing?
Carl's blowing up fireworks while also watching Talk Junkies. Paul, you're giving me real we weren't ready to start yet vibes. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen this fast. He's going to send me something real quick. Also, I don't know anything about Skype. Why is there a creepy, like, smile guy waving at me right now?
That's how you're supposed to emotionally feel to whatever the text, because text you can't hear. What is it? The whatever in somebody's fucking voice.
Inflection.
Inflection in somebody's voice. So that's why emojis. It's actually funny thinking about how if you go all the way back to like Egypt and shit, they just used emojis to even like talk. And now we've completely come back to that little hieroglyphic signs. So it should be happy through this statement or whatever.
Oh, I did not know that, Caleb. I guess that makes sense because you wouldn't want some giant. He's like, oh, I can only put so much per message, which makes sense. You couldn't just like copy paste an entire book into one message. Guys, I'm tired. I know we're supposed to be like amped and talking about some shit. I'm ready for Paul to get back on the mic so we can talk about some Roe v. Wade stuff.
Maybe next time set up for like some gimmicky filler we could do.
Yeah.
Like we could shave each other's legs or some shit.
That'd be cute.
While we're waiting. Yeah.
No, normally I'm more amped. I think this week just took it out of me. Was this like a long week for anybody else? It's not like it was a difficult week. It was just a long fucking week.
It was very long. Everybody was at Joey Chestnut's concert.
Joey Chestnut.
In Kansas City, you know, doing whatever.
My boy, Joey Chestnut.
Whatever he does. Famous guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you a single song by Joey Chestnut. But, man, he sold out Arrowhead Stadium. Good for him, man. Good for him.
If you're ever looking for some really good, it's country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good country songs with really great lyrics that I've never heard. Google Joey Chestnut.
That's got to be like some That's got to be like some dude porn star.
If that's not a porn star, I'm gonna be disappointed.
That's what I'm about to say right now. That's got to be a porn star name. Let's check it out. What's his actual name again?
Joey Chestnut?
Yeah, no,
I don't want to say his real name. Let's just stick with Joey Chestnut, bro.
I cannot fucking remember his real name.
Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney. Will Joey Chestnut win the 2020 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest?
Oh, shit.
Oh, he's a competitive eater. Well, I don't want to put
sold,
a bad...
That's sold out Arrowhead?
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, my man.
What's going on?
Hey, pardon my video. It's my laptop's about 4 years old. It's a Mac laptop. The webcam's not very good.
You're good, bro. You look like an out of focus Jesus.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, right. Hopefully this mic, my voice is coming through. Normally I'm over at my parents' house. I got a nice mic and better setup, but this is what I got for now. So.
No, we can hear you.
Nice.
You sound solid. Actually, hold up. Let's all three of us shut up. Can you say something real quick? I just want to make sure it's coming up on the stream.
Yeah, check. Let me make sure on my end. Let me make sure that the mic is the correct selected mic and everything.
No, you're good. You're solid. It's coming through.
Yeah, just you're coming in a little
Oh,
soft.
that's great.
But other than that, man.
Coming in a little soft, he said.
Not too bad, but just a tad.
I mean,
bad.
I could turn him up on Skype probably.
Yeah.
Let me just see what audio device, like microphone device, it's using.
Sure.
We should make a live stream podcast that the entire hour long is just us trying to figure out like technical difficulties, and that's the running joke. Every episode is just that.
Yes. It'd help a lot of people out.
Usually it's not that complicated. I don't usually use Skype.
Yeah, you are coming in a
Usually
little.
I'm on.
You are coming in a little quiet,
Well, here,
Nathan.
while he's messing with that, let me go mess with Skype real quick. See
Sure.
if I can turn him up.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on. It says default device in Skype. So
Jesse.
external headphones for output. My input. Let's see. External microphone. So my input volume, it's looking pretty good. At least in my system settings.
Yeah, Johnny's going to try and figure it out, see if we can't get you a little bit louder.
Boosted or something.
Yeah.
I'll turn it up. I'll turn it up a little bit on my end too. I don't want it to be too high though.
Also, if you just like play like maybe, I don't know, like a Meg Myers music video, something to get some light on your face too, do that through the computer or whatevs,
Yeah,
you know.
we got a little.
It's a little dark.
Right?
Oh, there you go. Doesn't have to be Meg Myers or anything like that. Yeah.
A little better, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Thanks for coming on short notice, man. That's awesome. And thanks
Yeah,
for even
guys.
emailing us.
No problem. If you schedule me ahead of time next time, this is good for now. But if you schedule me ahead of time, I'll get a better setup next time. But I think we can get the message across just fine. So
Sure.
Yeah, wait, what are we
on
talking
my
about
end,
again
it's showing
tonight?
that my mic. Well, it's up to you guys, but I have a lot of things on my mind that I can. You know, I was watching your show with Paul Unslaved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your recent episode with Paul Unslaved, talking about all that legal language and the system being set up in a way that people don't understand how it's set up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I teach people about what's called natural law, and it's kind of related to common law, but it's actually a universal spiritual law, and it's a very occult teaching, which...
Nathan, you there?
Fuck, we didn't lose him, did we?
Okay. So I'm down to get into that, Nathan, but I do.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back.
It just cut out there for a second.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm down to get into that, my man, but can we do that on the second half because our live stream right now is about Roe v. Wade. We do want to kind of get into that a little bit, maybe like for at least 30 minutes, and then maybe get a little bit of your opinions on that and what's going on with that.
Oh, totally.
But with
whatever you guys want to do, but yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds
and then
great.
just real quick, like where you from? Just like general area, man. Like
Missouri. I'm in Southwest Missouri right
Oh,
now.
hell yeah.
Oh, nice,
Nice.
man. Nice.
Join the club. Well, we're more central, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in Springfield.
Rock
Oh.
on. There we go. I've been to Springfield a few times. But again, like just with it.
I was looking at your channel. I think I
Go
think
ahead.
I saw some Missouri information on your channel.
Rock on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my mom used to live in Springfield. I lived in Stockton for a while down there. We're all from this area.
Cool. So I'm gonna
Yeah, it's a decent area. It's
gonna-
decent.
I'm going to start it off again, though, and we got Nathan joining us from the southern Missouri, and it's very thanks for joining, man. Again, especially on short notice, it's awesome to even have someone email us and say, hey, let me join your show, and then I email him back and say, hey, do you want to come on tonight? And he's like, of course. He's like, yeah, man, let me make it happen. And here Nathan is. So Nathan, greatly appreciate that, man. That's badass. But we definitely need to get into brass tacks and just our thoughts on Roe v. Wade. And it's polarizing the country, not necessarily the world. I'm not sure how other countries really feel about it. But let's just get into it, man. I know kind of what your guys' thoughts are on it a little bit, but what does it really mean? What does Roe v. Wade mean? And this was a law that was passed how many years ago? Or the
About
Supreme
50.
Okay, 50 years ago, the Supreme Court came in and said, hey, this is overruling law that applies to everyone in all 50 states.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a law. It was more just I don't know how that all works. I mean, they're basically the Supreme Court doing their thing of being like, oh, this is a right, basically.
Okay. So and then they did that, and then that basically made abortion available to everyone in all 50 states, without any stipulations or anything like that, any regulations. A woman wants to go get it for however they want to use it, they can use it, essentially.
I mean, I don't know the full details of the Roe v. Wade. You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
I'm not going to pretend to be educated enough on the subject where I know what case law is on Roe v. Wade.
For sure. And I'm not even trying to go down that road. Sorry. I didn't really want to do it. But let's just get into our thoughts a little bit on it. Because for me, I would say I veer more towards pro-life and just people just pro-life, honestly. Now, when I say that, I don't. So whenever Roe v. Wade was overturned, you look at the Missouri Attorney General, and I haven't looked it up more so what he's done, but I know Missouri was the first state to make abortion illegal.
He was just the first. So there were tons of, I don't remember the actual amount. I think it was right around 19 states that all had trigger laws in place that they've passed within the last however many years. So ours was passed in 2019, I believe. We passed a trigger law basically saying, hey, that if Roe v. Wade is ever overturned, then this law will go into effect.
Gotcha.
With the Attorney General's opinion being written on it or whatever.
Right.
And then the moment Roe v. Wade was overturned, the day it was overturned, an hour later or whatever, he woke up and said, let's do this thing. And instantly we were the first one because he signed it into effect, and the trigger law then took place and then made abortion illegal in Missouri. Unless it was, it didn't cover rape. It didn't cover, rape, abortion, still illegal. Incest, abortion, still illegal. The only thing it covered was medical emergency to the mother or something like that. I don't remember the.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack, especially being in Missouri, and this is where we live. It's going to affect right around 4 million people, and people who are about to have babies and stuff like that, or what have you. But I mean, what does that really mean? Okay, let's bring it down to abortion and just our thoughts and our opinions, because I know you guys have an opinion on it.
It's that the state has now decided that this is the absolute, this is what's going to happen in this case with any individual, no matter what. If you are impregnated in any sense, if I remember correctly, there is no weird little outlier law to where if it's rape or sexual assault,
only
hey,
medical emergency, if it's a fallopian tube pregnancy or something like that,
oh,
only
so
medical
emergencies. So at least there's that, I guess. But it's basically the state's coming in and saying that this is what's happening in your life, and we're making the overarching decision for you of how this is going to go with your pregnancy.
So I'm just confused right now because I feel like on this podcast we've been about the government not entering our lives and making
pretty libertarian
sure,
podcast. Yeah,
right. But overarching rules for every single person that lives in the United States, and I thought we were trying to break away from that. So whenever the Supreme Court comes out and says, hey, this really isn't something of national thought or whatever the word would be, we're not going to make an overarching rule for everyone. I thought that this would be a victory for people when it comes to the states having rights and the states making laws within their own states. So you can't have your cake and your ice cream and eat it both.
So and I feel bad because we're like,
Yeah,
leaving,
no,
I
we
feel
need-
like we're
we need to keep
leaving
Nathan.
No,
out of this.
no,
But let
Nathan
me.
Nathan, if you have any thoughts, man, definitely chime in. For
Chime
sure.
in, my man.
Yeah.
Like, chime in whenever you want. But
Well, I think this is an actual very deep moral question, and
Absolutely.
my personal opinion is that I'm both pro-life and pro-choice. So I view the act of abortion itself as, in some ways, a criminal act, but you have to look at it with a bit of perspective, and you have to realize that you punish someone for that without being a hypocrite yourself. Because if you look at what the fetus is, it's kind of like a small life form. It's kind of arguable whether or not a soul is truly inhabiting the fetus, which I think is something that needs to be factored into your thinking about abortion. If there's a soul inhabiting the fetus, then you could make a more criminal case against the act of abortion itself. But just on biological terms, which we can all agree upon, the fetus is kind of a small animal. And I would personally compare it to something like a small mouse, or, later in the pregnancy, I think it becomes more wrong, but we don't really want to be a hypocrite here. Like, occasionally I'll accidentally hit an animal with my car, for example. Or if you're mowing the lawn, you'll occasionally run over a field mouse. And people just overlook that as a non-crime because it's so small that we can't really punish other people for that without being a hypocrite. So governing people, the government is one of the biggest, most hypocritical organizations in all of reality. They're responsible. They're responsible for crimes all over the place. Like, they kind of constantly are holding people in a state of duress. They go and start wars. They're armed. They're robbing people all the time. They're deceivers. A lot of the laws, they claim to have authority over people, which is not a morally just. It's not based in truth. So those are kind of my basic opinions here. You want to not be a hypocrite. You want to acknowledge that there's damage being done to a life form. I think that the mother,
real quick, just a question to you.
Yeah.
And this might branch off into something else, but just out of curiosity, because we have a bunch of males here, discussing the problem of pregnancy that none of us four will ever have to deal with. Does that weaken our opinion, or not weaken our opinion, but change the actual, like, should males have the same opinion as females have an opinion on abortion as males do? If I said that correctly, I probably completely botched that. Because you will never have to deal with the sexual assault that led to, I mean, this is worst case scenario. I know that I'm going worst case scenario right now, but you will never have to deal with the sexual assault that leads to a pregnancy. And you'll never have to deal with that. As to where there are females that deal with that. Do we, in the same place as males in America, have the same, like, voice and authority that should be heard from females? Like, just in general. I know I went weird with that question. I need to be more versed than that.
I personally think that everyone's opinion should be heard. I don't think that we should try to censor other people and just attack them for having an opinion. I think that
but does the weight of your opinion hold the same as a woman's opinion on this matter? Let me just really simplify
it. Because she's the one carrying the fetus. Like, for example, I've heard from a woman who's a spiritual teacher. She has said that she felt like, multiple women actually have told me that they feel like a soul has inhabited their body when they were pregnant in the past. And, a couple women I've talked to have said that they've regretted having an abortion. My thought is that the woman should be the one to make that choice ultimately, because I don't feel like, as a man, that my action and karma is really good enough to where I would feel okay forcing my will onto someone else, especially in today's world where there's so many different socioeconomic factors that need to be factored in. I feel like the woman who's pregnant is going to be the one who's best qualified to be able to make the judgment call and balance all the different factors for her individual choice. She would know best whether or not she has the ability to really even be able to take care of a child in the modern world. You wouldn't want to birth a child into a world where they're not going to be able to be taken care of. In my mind, that would be more of a crime than just cutting it off really early, like a first trimester abortion. I mean, the fetus at that point is like microscopic. You know, when it first starts out, it's like the size of a pea or something. And if you were to have an abortion at that point, it like doesn't even count in my book. I don't have any evidence myself that there's a soul inhabiting, you know, a pea-sized
Why is
life
that soul portion so important to you? As far as, because, man, you talk about, you can speculate so much, but the soul portion of that sounds pretty important to you. And maybe I shouldn't be going down this path.
That's fine.
In particular, but why is that so important? And through your eyes, why is the soul portion so important?
Well, thanks for having me on, guys, and thanks for valuing my opinion. You guys have been great hosts so far. I think.
Oh, we'll fuck it up in the next 20 minutes, man. Just wait.
I personally don't have any memories from my early life that didn't start after the age of about 2 years old. So I don't personally have any direct direct knowledge or evidence that I even inhabited my body before I was 2 years old. So for a being that's younger than the age of 2, or even an unborn child, I just don't have any evidence that there's even any type of entity or soul, you could say, that's perceiving things that are being done to it, like an abortion. Like, for any adult-sized animal, you're going to feel pain if you're being physically attacked. But for an unborn child, it's hard to say if there's even a soul there that's perceiving the pain and attack. That's just a question that's unknown for me. I'm not saying there is one or not, but I don't remember being in my mother's womb.
So for an unspiritual person, what you're kind of equating it to is a personality, is what you're talking about. Is almost what
like
that feels to me.
An ego.
Yeah, an ego. Yeah, there you go. Even better. An ego is actually something that can, be talked about. Is the person's ego, personality, how you feel about things and can respond to it. So I mean,
sentient being. Sentient being is another good word for it.
My issue with all of this that we're talking about right now is the first thing you mentioned, which is we're just 4 white males over the internet talking about shit that doesn't even like really affect us, and we'll never know. The other thing is we're addressing, like, we're talking about what is a fetus, what is a soul, all this different stuff. My whole point with the Roe V Wade thing, or why we brought it up in the first place, is the whole and you talk about, I want to take a step way back to what you said about, isn't this a win because we're giving states their own, like, sovereignty, their own, like, we're giving states power over their own rulings. Normally, if it was a different kind of case, I would agree with you, Paul. I'd say take rights away from the federal government and let states decide for themselves. I feel pretty strongly about this, though, that this has that is not up for the government to decide what you can do with your own being. Like, that's not up to them at all. I'm very much, first off, I hate how there's like slogans on things about pro-life and pro-choice and all this different stuff, and you have to say, I'm pro-choice or I'm pro-life or whatever. Like, fuck all that. I'm let people do what they want, and I have no say over. It sickens me to think that if my sister or my mom or whoever, like any female in my life, that if something were to happen to them, they don't have a decision in what they can do. It is forced upon them. The government has no say. Not the federal government, not the state government, none of it. It's absolutely absurd to me that we have to have this conversation. And it's hard, it's difficult, but I've always tried to remain unbiased. This one's difficult to do. I'll try to play devil's advocate and see it from a religious person's point of view or something like that thinks, I'm pro-life and this is a body and this is a person and everything. And I'm like, even then, It's none of your business. Like this is someone else who's doing whatever. And if you think that if you truly believe this is murder or whatever, I mean, what scientific line, where do you draw the line? I mean, is fucking jerking off ruining tons of potential lives down the road?
So
is every period where eggs die, like, is that the end of what could have been life? Like, what do you draw?
So what happens if, let's say, this is just a hearsay or whatever you want to call it. Let's say the human population is diminishing at an alarming rate. At that point, is abortion still allowed?
But that's not the case.
That's not the
I'm just asking though. Is it still allowed? Is it still allowed at that point?
That's not up for the government to fucking decide. That's
Right.
up to the individual.
But when you
if we're dying off as a species,
I agree
you
with
don't get to
Johnny there.
force people to like, oh, we're dying off. We're going to put y'all in a cage and y'all have to have sex to keep the species alive. You're taking away free will.
Okay.
Which I am not okay with.
And I understand that, but when you look at Nathan's point, I never really looked at it that way, but when does the soul enter the body? Whether or not a soul is real or not, we're not even going down that realm, but let's just fancy the idea that it is. And let's say a soul does enter at day one of conception. At that point, does the woman really have a choice? She has another human being in her body. Is it just her body, or is it now two people's bodies? That's the question you have to ask. And if it's two people's bodies, then at that point, is it not murder?
She still has agency over her own body, though. She can jump off a bridge if she wants to.
Let's take out rape out of the rape and incest out of the equation.
You can't, though.
Okay?
Those are parts of life.
But it's such a minuscule amount when you talk about people having babies in general. And you look at the amount of people that probably use abortion for birth control. And I'm not talking about contraceptives. I'm specifically talking about abortion in general. When you take those two things out of the equation, it's widely used more so as birth control than it is for rape and incest. Okay. So people have a choice, right? And we can sit here and go down the rabbit hole and we can talk about, just how fucked up America is in general. People are having sex at an alarming rate. People are being sexualized. You have people being extremely young, and I was a part of it, just wanting to have sex with whoever and whatever. You know what I'm saying? That is a problem in itself. And people having sex without knowing what it is that could happen is a big problem. So people need to be more aware before they stick their dick inside of a woman and then make a baby. And same with a woman who, before she has sex with a man, needs to know that you could probably have a baby, right? It takes away, and I'm not trying to bring this religiously, but you know what I'm saying? Because that's what a lot of people will bring it to. Be more aware of what you're doing. And I think if you educate people when it comes to sex, then maybe you don't put yourself in that position to where you have to kill a soul or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So my biggest problem, my biggest issue with the people, and this is a generalization, this is an overstatement, I realize that. Each individual is their own person, and people have different views. In general, my biggest problem with people who are pro-life, in general, is the fact that they're only pro-life to make sure something is born. You don't give a fuck about what happens to that child afterwards. You don't care about the system it grows up in. You don't care if the mom is a drug addict and does all this and these different things, and that child is going to go to a foster home or have to deal with this or that and have a shit fucking life.
Do you think that
you
person...
don't care? You're all for capital punishment. Capital punishment's fine, but you're supposedly pro-life. There's all these contradicting... Like, don't act like you give a shit about the kid. Because you don't. I'm not talking about you.
I think what you were talking about specifically was the education of young people. Because it's weird. Like, I came from a very heavily Christian background. Nathan, I don't know your background as far as your sex education came from your parents. Typically, that shit's really fucking awkward. Like, your parents... Yeah,
Midwest Christianity.
Yeah, and you really don't talk about it too much. Like, it's like, hey, don't do this, I guess. It's not real open about... like the actual process of like sexuality. So I agree with you there that needs to be like maybe brought to the light, and people, need to talk about it more with their kids and stuff like that. And that might help a little bit. But in the end, as far as, man, sex is going to happen. Like, it's the pinnacle of the greatest thing a human being can do is have this intimate moment with another human being. That's the most beautiful fucking thing ever. And then we're just supposed to like...
So then use protection.
No, and then absolutely. So that needs to be brought into the picture too. But you have all these suppressed people that don't have real like access to birth control, contraceptive, like level shit. What happens with them? They're just not supposed to fuck. Like,
which
no,
they took away. So they also took away like
do your shit.
in Missouri they took away free contraceptives
in hospitals.
Yeah. So
Man,
now
you're
you're
still
saying
gonna do your
so.
shit.
When have you ever went after having sex for contraceptives to a hospital to get it?
But
You
if
go to
it-
Walgreens, you go to CVS. So when they start taking it out of there, then we can talk.
But so now it's a class thing. It's a money thing. You have to have money to buy
and
contraception.
that's
You've always
You
had to have money. You've always had to
No,
have
you
money.
could get free
Oh,
contraceptives.
man.
That was the
I'm
thing.
sure you still can in Missouri. I guarantee you still can. Hospitals, maybe or not, they didn't want to give it away. That's up to them.
It's so
I
crazy.
have to agree.
Go ahead.
I have to agree with a couple.
Your internet.
Oh, we didn't lose him,
you-
did we?
No, he'll be
Be
back.
very careful with birth.
You're gonna have to restart on
Oh,
that,
check.
Nathan. Yeah, you're gonna have to restart on that, my man. Your connection is
Yeah,
just a little,
just a little
shaky.
wonky.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
Anyways, I was saying that people really need to be very careful with the reproductive, like sexual energies, right? Because the world in the state that it's in, there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of danger right now. And people need to be in a very secure situation before they're playing around with those kind of energies. It's like you said, especially if they're not going to use, protection or somehow try not to get pregnant. Yeah, there's methods of tantra, for example, where you just, as a male, you don't even have an orgasm and you don't even release sperm. And that makes it a little safer. Wearing a condom is another option, but you're right. There's a lot of sexual irresponsibility going on, and there's a lot of, egotistical culture of just what am I feeling in the moment, and who cares whether or not the woman's pregnant. These very irresponsible things that a lot of people are doing. And, that itself is a tragedy. But partly for that reason, I think that it would be good to have reproductive services, like abortion pills, for example, that people could easily access.
Plan B. You're talking about Plan B, right?
Plan B, things like that, and even abortion services, just in case they make a mistake and realize after the fact that, oh, actually we can't take care of a kid. If we have a kid, it's going to have a shit life, and we're not ready for that. And it would be better, of course, to just not even conceive a child. But I don't want there to be some external evil force like the government, for example, coming in and using guns to force people to have a kid or not to have a kid, one way or the other. I don't think that the government's role is to come in and then force you to have a kid, and then the kid's going to go to a school that they're regulating, and then all kinds of other evils come in after that point.
No, it's,
So,
it's terrible,
as
the
men-
systems that they have
as
to be
men,
put
though,
in. Like if you look at the numbers from whenever abortion was put in place, and then all of a sudden crime rates drop, all this like 18 years later, right? All of a sudden you realize, oh wow, it's because kids were actually, like, women were able to make decisions of their own body and realize, hey, this is not a good time for me. And yeah, I got drunk at a party, which you should be able to get drunk at a party and do your shit. And yeah, if a mistake happened, then you take care of it in whatever way. I'm not talking about like long-term abortion or anything like that, but and you're able to take Plan B, all this, whatever within that time frame. It's just this females in my mind, females have the biggest role in humanity. They hold the gateway to which all other humanity comes through. And they get to decide what comes through, and I think it's exactly how it was meant to be. And you're taking away, especially nowadays with what you're able to do, and you start taking that away, and then you have all this like horrible shit, and us as a society can't even come in and do a good job of taking care of it and mentoring these kids that are coming through broken households.
That's a whole nother subject, though. Like how. If a woman's not fit to have the baby and they give it up for adoption or they put him in the foster care, that's completely different. That's a whole other subject, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, are they unfairly treated? Yes,
that's such a huge argument, though. That's such a huge argument on the Republican side.
That's something that
they'll be taken care of, right?
Okay,
the Republicans do a shit fucking job of taking care of young people.
Jesse, do you know how many more Republicans take care of foster kids than Democrats
they're white
or libertarians?
Males and they'll fucking take care of them.
None of us know the answer to that. But what I'm saying is that's a completely different side of abortion in general. Would you have wanted to be aborted?
No.
Right.
I no, I wouldn't.
So how can we
I
sit
know.
there and make decisions for
Because
these other people? How can you sit there and say that? You know what I'm saying? Just because they were born in a shitty way or in a way that's unconceivable.
And this is why I've always said that this is the biggest fucking gray area issue I'll ever have is abortion. Any other topic you bring up, I'm like steadfast. Like, this is what I think. Boom. This is a weird one for me. First off, because I don't have a fucking uterus and I can't have a fucking kid, so I don't.
You help make kids, though. It takes two to tango, man.
Yeah, I put in a little bit of work, disappointing amount of work, and get my shit done. But
as white men, don't let the woke culture discourage you from having a strong opinion, because your opinion does matter. There's a lot of women that need if they have rights and say whether or not abortion's right or wrong or the right or wrong thing to do, they need the men around to be in agreement and have a good opinion that they can back, because someone's got to protect their rights ultimately, and we're all in this together. Skin color's irrelevant as well. So like the whole I'm a white male, therefore I can't have an opinion. That's separate. That's like duality. It's like we're all in this together, and all of our opinions matter. I have a role to play, like as a father, for example. I'm not a father, but if I were a father, the wife or she, if she needs an abortion or wants to have the child, if I'm backing her on that and supporting her, that's just going to create a better outcome. And the same goes for the entire culture. Like, everyone fighting over these things constantly is not really going to get people anywhere. They need a natural agreement that's not really being dictated externally or forced. People need logic, and they need good reasoning, and they need to think morally, and then just come to a more common sense, commonly shared, consensus to really make progress in a lot of these areas, to be honest.
A lot of that requires education.
I think a lot of the law too.
Let Johnny get in there.
Let me get this out of the way real quick. A lot of the issue with the law is so just general, to where you can't I have a big frustration with the line of work that I'm in, because I have corporate heads telling me this is exactly what you need to do every time, when I'm dealing with human beings on a daily basis. So my shit changes depending on who I'm dealing with. Shit changes all the fucking time. You can't have this general rule to each and every fucking thing. Like the rule, it change. There is no set in stone. This is how you handle this. This is what I fucking hate probably the most about anything, is they go, no matter what, boom, this is what it is. And I'm like, man, you can't fucking handle it like that. Like it varies so much from everybody's living such a unique life. Like everything is uniquely dependent upon them, which is another reason why I'm so big on it should be like their decision on what they do, is because it's so independently different in every fucking scenario. You're trying to generalize this, just this one thing. No, so it's wrong here, so boom, put a stamp on it, make it fucking illegal. That's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. It's a shitty way to fucking handle something.
So,
yeah, now you can.
So that's kind of a weird roundabout way of getting to the point that I was going to try to make, which is ignoring the whole, we keep talking about like the soul and what is a human and all this stuff. I want to get away from that for a second, because we're just talking about the government having control. That's what Roe v. Wade was, is the government having a say in your rights, and now it's state rights and all this stuff. So talking about just getting the government involved and stuff like that, gun rights, okay? We say, let's make all guns illegal, right? We know that doesn't work, correct? You make guns illegal, then the only people who have guns are criminals. And all the good law-abiding citizens no longer have guns, but guns are still going to exist. They're a thing. They don't all just, when you write it into law, guns don't just spontaneously combust and guns aren't a thing anymore. Jesse, you bring up drugs a lot. We've talked about this in the past. Fucking so many drugs are illegal. So what happens is that these people can't get the help they need and all this different stuff, because you make them criminals, you make them felons. We don't have the support system to help people get through addictions the way that they should and stuff like that. So making drugs illegal doesn't honestly help either. Drugs are still around. They're still a thing. They cause people to go to prison. They cause people to die, all this different stuff. Making it illegal doesn't help. Strictly talking about law here, making abortion illegal does not stop abortion. Wealthy people will have access to safe abortion. Poor people will have access to dangerous abortion. There will be problems. There will be deaths. There will be all kinds of issues. You're not getting rid of abortion by making it illegal. It's a Band-Aid, just like the other two things. And taking it from the other side, like let's say I was super religious and I was super pro-life. Even then, if you're super religious and you're super pro-life, then what you should be doing is not putting this Band-Aid on that doesn't solve the issue. Put your money and your focus towards educating people about what you said, about contraception, about safe sex, about all this different stuff. If you actually care about life and care about pro-life, that is where your force should go towards. It shouldn't just be a Band-Aid of this is illegal, because all that causes is, once again, safe abortions for wealthy people, shitty abortions for poor people. Making it outlawed doesn't all of a sudden stop people from getting abortions.
Absolutely. Prohibition never works.
That's my point. Prohibition and getting the government involved never works. If you truly...
But isn't that what they did in the first place when they nationalized abortion to make it legal? Is the government putting their arm at will?
What?
But you're talking about making something legal. I'm talking about prohibiting something. The government shouldn't have a say at all, is my point.
Right.
If you truly are pro-life and want people to...
Legislation
hold on.
law
So
coming in saying you can't do something.
This is where it frustrates me, because this is what we've advocated on this podcast for such a long time, 4 years now. It's just breaking away from this national government of making overarching decisions for everyone. And then and again, finally they make it a states' right. So at this point, if so many people are up in arms over it, then you do exactly what Pat and Caleb and so many other people a part of that organization did to make SAPA pass in Missouri. Is they called their senators, they got involved in local politics, and they were fed up. And then they created new legislation that is now part of Missouri law that affects everyone. So if this is something you're so passionate about and you care about it so much, all they said was 2,000 people were involved out of a state that has 4 to 8 million people, and they got legislation passed. This is what it's going to do. It's going to force people into local government politics. Dude, the stage is set. The stage is here. The reality that we live in is not going away. It's not just mysteriously going to start just vanish and go away. This is what we have to work with. So let's work within the system. Be involved in local politics. And if this pisses you off, Johnny, let's get something set up in Missouri to get rid of abortion or make regulations for abortion to where it's not dangerous. To where if there is incest and there's rape or there's complications within a pregnancy, there are laws that protect women that are involved in those situations.
I'm not fighting for that, though. I'm fighting for them to have their choice no matter what.
Okay,
I was playing devil's advocate.
But what I'm saying is you can't just use it as birth control, man. I'm sorry, I'm just not down with that. But what I'm saying is if you give it the states' rights, it puts more people in positions to be involved in local politics, which is, I feel like, what we fought for so hard in this podcast.
I actually agree. Honestly, I agree with what you just said. I don't like the fact that abortion is the thing you're using there, but I agree with what you said about getting involved in politics, local politics, helping your state make the correct decisions and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the realistic world we live in, we all know the world we live in, I feel like my argument stands about what I said about how you feel about drugs, how you feel about gun rights, how we all feel about gun rights and everything like that. We know that prohibition and Band-Aids do not solve the problem. It does not. If you truly are like, I am anti-abortion, I am only pro-life, women shouldn't have the decision because that is a human soul. If that's the way you feel, you know that this law isn't going to do anything except hurt people. It's not saving lives. They're still going to get abortions. It's just dangerous now. If you really want to step up to the plate, then this law shouldn't be involved at all. People should have freedom of choice, and it should be your goal to spend that money to get the politicians to do what it takes to educate people, to show them about contraception, safe sex, all this different stuff, if that's really how you care. But just saying, no, let's make it illegal, does not solve the problem.
Well, so many people say it's like 70% of people support abortions. So if that's truly the case, so then what needs to happen is you have to work within the system, you need 2/3 of states to ratify a new amendment to where abortion is completely legal for everyone in the country. That's the steps we need to take. Then that's exactly what needs to happen.
It shouldn't be involved. That's what I'm saying. The government shouldn't even be involved.
Like the government's not representing. The government's not representing the people correctly.
They're here though, and that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Play within the system. If people care about it this much, 2/3 of states will ratify a new amendment that makes abortion legal for everyone. And then we don't have to have
really headed in that direction.
It has to at this point. if 70% of people really truly agree with what you guys are saying.
That's not the case at
I'm
all.
saying
what's happening.
law shouldn't be
There's been a
involved
regression
at all with it.
It's been an absolute regression.
It involves life,
What's
Johnny.
happened?
It involves life. It is not a gun. Life is not a gun. Life is not alcohol. Life is not drugs. It is life. It is a human being, dude. You, me, Jesse, Nathan here. It is a human being. That is life.
You're right, and I care
Those
about
things
that.
are inanimate objects.
I care about that human being, so we should do everything we should to make sure that they have the best life that they can. We talk about all
It's
this
not always
stuff.
going to be the case, man. Not everyone gets
So
a
where do
fair
you
shoot
draw
at
a
it.
line? So you only care enough to make sure they're born, but after that,
where does
the
the
care
majority
stops.
where does the majority of backing of pro-life come from? Let me ask you this.
I'm going to say religious values.
Nathan, the same question. Like, where do you think the majority of pro-life individuals come from, and where they get that morality?
I think that most of them are being religiously programmed
Okay.
by Christianity.
I love that you use the word programmed.
Yeah, it's a program. I mean, it goes back for thousands of years, I guess, but I think a lot of these arguments can be settled if people had more knowledge about the nature of law itself and what the government truly is and what spiritual and universal laws are dictating the consequences of human behavior. And if they took a more balanced approach just based on principles instead of hard set one-size-fits-all rules that are being dictated to them by an external fake authority, then it would just be a much more organic decision-making process, and there wouldn't be so much fighting, because when you've got an external hierarchy telling you everything how it must be in the whole country, it just creates a bunch of fighting because people disagree. Some people think certain things are right, and education should be the right approach. If you want people to agree with you, then you need to express your opinions in a way that makes it easy to absorb for other people. And yeah, there will be ignorant people here and there, but that just kind of has to be accepted. I don't think a one-size-fits-all solution, being violently enforced by a ruling class is really the way to go there, personally.
I guess that's all I was getting at, is that prohibition and having that doesn't work.
That's a good way of putting it.
A lot of the government philosophy is based on moral relativism, and the idea that if you just cross an imaginary line, say from Missouri to Arkansas or Oklahoma, then all of a sudden the entire rules of morality and change, and what is right in Missouri is somehow wrong in Arkansas. And then another aspect of this moral relativism is that one year, say 2021, it was legal to have an abortion in this state, and then the next year, somehow magically, some politicians did a ritual and they wrote something on a piece of paper, and now all of a sudden it's wrong to have an abortion. So that's called moral relativism, and it's one of the foundations of the government religion. And the actual truth is that moral law is built into the universe and it never changes. And it's the job of humans to come to understand these laws so they can harmonize with them and create the desired outcome, which is a free world that's, good and beneficial for everyone. That world can be created. It's just, knowledge is required, and correct action in alignment with universal spiritual law is what's required to create a good outcome for everyone.
So,
but then you have egos. Egos are involved, man. You step on somebody's toes, they're not in the right, not in the right spot at the right time. Then you offend somebody, and then everything, gets flipped over. There's no right way to go about. I love the way that you put it. That sounds great. It's a fairy tale fucking story. It's not how shit fucking works, though. Like, human beings will always fucking butt heads about shit. I'll always think that I'm right over Paul or whatever, and we'll constantly do that. It's this constant, back and forth. And
that's the state. That's the source of human suffering. That's why the world is in a state of war all the time. Is because people don't agree about what's right and wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And without that, kind of duality between the two, our lives would be boring as fuck anyway. So then you have that problem too, philosophically.
I would rather.
I feel like we need to have a more philosophical podcast with you. Would be.
I'm all about philosophy. The love of wisdom is what the word means.
No, absolutely. Philo and then Safi, like Sophia. Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, I can go down that road with you. Absolutely.
I personally rather have
talk
a boring
hermeneutics
line
too if you want.
That doesn't involve needless suffering and other forces bringing me to war and stuff. I would rather have a boring life that is filled with pleasure and bliss and friendship and cooperation than what we've got now, which is all the different countries, taking sides and throwing bombs, and people fighting with their neighbor and at each other's throats, and being manipulated by occult forces that are using mind control techniques, like the mainstream media, for example, just manipulating everyone, turning them against each other. The ruling class running off with all the gold. We don't even know where the gold was. We used to have gold in this country. Who knows where it is now?
Bro, you don't even know. We literally do podcasts on this shit where the gold standard, how the gold standard is gone. Man, you need to be on the podcast again. I'm already putting in my vote that Daniel needs to be on the podcast again.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're amongst like-minded individuals, which honestly makes for bad conversation, but for fun interaction, I guess. But
let me know ahead of time if you want. I'll get a better camera, better mic, and everything.
So dude, everything's fine right now. The way you're coming in, everything's good.
Absolutely, man.
But I almost, and I'm in agreement as well. All those things would work really well, and I'm for that. But it's just, how do we even get there? I think we passed a point where that is not even like a conversation to where it could happen. Like, we've had Howdy Mikowski on. We've had multiple people, David Icke, we've had him on our show. And we talk about these entities that have been ruling the world. Have they been ruling this world or this realm for however long? Who knows? But Howdy suggests that maybe there was a point in time where there was harmonization between human beings. And I would have loved to live in that type of time. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to live in harmony with each other.
So why not work towards making that time now?
I mean, to Jesse, it would be boring. He doesn't even want to be involved in something like that. He likes the conflict. He likes the fighting back and forth.
It's just human nature.
Well, and I also think we've been bred that way. We're only 30 years old. The Earth's been here for a very long time.
We're an evolutionary being. Like to think that we're the pinnacle.
I'm not even saying
laughable.
That. I'm not even saying that.
I know, but that's the idea of it. Is to think that, we're the pinnacle, we're the fucking best. Is such a terrible idea. And that's the whole point of this progression, that there's this constant thing. To think that, we can get to this point to where everything's perfect, well, then we're going to be bored. Because all we've known is trying to evolve and progress and make better. So the idea that, man, whenever you get there, I don't know what you do from there.
Get some reverb from you, Nathan.
Nate, did you just change something?
I just hit the record button. I'll stop it.
Okay.
Oh, you're good, man.
I assume you guys are recording.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which I have no problem with you recording, obviously.
Yeah,
it made a bunch of static.
Yeah.
I just stopped it. I was like, just in case they forgot the record button, I'll push it.
Oh, no, good looking out, man. We're live streaming. We got Audacity for audio, for for all the other stuff. But yeah.
Yes.
Great discussion so far.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm impressed you had David Icke on. I listen to David Icke a lot.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites.
Didn't get a lot of love from YouTube when we had David Icke on. He was banned at that point. So we're at 1,000 views on BitChute. He posted it. It's at 25 or 20,000 views. So it was a pleasure to have David Icke on the show, honestly.
Is he kind of coming back on? Have you talked to him recently?
I've tried to reach out to him about a month ago. Nothing back. So.
I'm sure it's difficult.
Yeah.
He's a busy Englishman.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I just emailed David Icke as well a week ago. I was trying to get him on my show. So.
Keep pushing, man.
He'll get there.
I'm in agreement though, Jesse. But what I'm saying is we don't know what it would be like to live in harmonization because we've never done it. Just because we never have done it doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for it. No, because I feel like that's honestly what we would want, is to live in that type of lifestyle. And to say that it would be boring, you have no idea because we've never been there. So we don't know if it would be boring or not.
But I think boring would be better than the state that we're in right now.
Bliss and pleasure. You could have all kinds of sex orgies. What would be boring about that?
Yeah, nothing.
Like a global sex orgy where there's no borders between countries. We could just fly over to Mexico, take a bunch of ayahuasca, and then fuck all the girls there.
Man, if you can get your dick hard on those kind of psychedelics, and I've been on some psychedelics before, nothing close to that, then you're a champion within your own right, and deserve that shit. Yeah,
think about the government building a wall between, this country and Mexico. Like, they say it's for your safety, but the other effect is that I can't just on a whim go to Mexico or Spain without having to go through customs and borders, and then they want to add, V card. I call it the V card. We're not allowed to say the word on
Sure.
YouTube. Requirements, and I can't travel internationally now because of those.
So you're for
requirements.
globalization then?
I'm for the entire world becoming enlightened, so that they don't really have to fight each other and have unnecessary borders. There's such a thing as property. There's such a thing as property and having a border for security purposes around things that you truly own. There's a difference, though, between that and then a group of people calling themselves government, claiming ownership over the entire country, and then arbitrarily drawing lines all over a map and dividing people into all these imaginary countries and pitting them against each other, building walls that don't really blocking travel. So there's a balance between travel rights and private property, and that balance would be much more organic and probably more flexible and loose in a world that's not so left brain imbalanced with this government, one size fits all solution. For example, around the country, we have the road system, we have the fenced off, borders between everyone's property and stuff. It's the same everywhere. And you have to ask, in a free world, would everyone be doing everything the exact same? In just the United States, for example, we might have a lot more diversity in culture if it wasn't so corporatized and, there has to be interstate travel, but then for some reason it stops when you get to Canada, and then there's border patrol and stuff. And, I just think in a more enlightened society, you could drive over to Arkansas, let's say, and it would be a totally different culture. They'd be doing things completely different, and they would be designing their cities differently. It wouldn't look the same everywhere you go. There might be an entirely different architecture style. Whereas, the modern society, you fly over to a different country halfway across the world, and it's the same fucking thing. There's McDonald's, there's Best Buy, McDonald's, Walmart. It's like, I think part of what's happened here is that people, because they're unenlightened, because they're kind of unbegun, you've got external forces dictating how their life is going to be. And these external forces want everything to be the same because it creates predictability and it makes it easy for them to regulate. They call it regulation.
Absolutely.
Dude, yeah.
It's one of the tenets of
Be
their
on like
religion.
an economics podcast with us. Like that's the best way to,
Fuels consumerism, fuels like capitalism.
You're just getting into economics, which is corrupt as fuck. And that's how shit works. I don't feel good about the stock market, but I invest in it.
The banking system itself is terrible.
Man, you're about 3 years late on that one with the podcast, but once again needs to be reiterated. Man, I just got to ask you real quick. I don't know how close we're getting to the hour or whatever.
We're getting pretty
I know
close,
my girlfriend's hitting me up. Did you ever watch Joseph Peter, or Peter Joseph? I'd never remember how his name goes. Zeitgeist?
Yeah, saw that.
You did?
Yep.
Me too, brother. Me too.
That's a good one. So
Thank
the
you.
banking
Thank
system,
you.
though, it's being forced on us at
Thank you.
gunpoint by the government. If you run out of money in American society, say you can't pay rent anymore, you can't pay your mortgage, who is it that will throw you out on the street at gunpoint? They will write you a legal notice. It's called an eviction, and let you know that, hey, you're not welcome here anymore because your corporate overlords, your landlord, is not being paid with this fake money that's printed up out of nothing. It's not gold that you're paying. And the concept of rent and mortgage, I think, are just invalid concepts. I think in a more enlightened society, there would be no need for rent and mortgage.
Well, everybody would just have their own property.
Yeah, because
there's plenty of space for it. There's plenty of
who's going to build the property? Who's going to build it?
Nathan, the big question is, would you be the better person that actually, if you were to luck into it, right? And you were in a position to where other people were in positions of, that you would do it better than them and you'd give it up. And you wouldn't take advantage of it and you would give it up to everybody else.
I'm committed to a good moral path. In my soul, I've made that commitment.
I'm just saying humans in general, man. I think you gotta quit looking at it as such like an individual perspective. Because I'd be like, oh yeah, me right now, yeah, you put me in a position of power, I do good, right? No, fuck no. You got to look at human beings in the whole of it. And I think it's really difficult to say.
I don't.
I know, but
like,
so if you were
Right.
right now, you'd be really good, right? Like you'd be that that leader that didn't take for profit, that was out for
I would
everybody else
tell
before
everyone the
himself.
truth. I would tell them the truth that the government religion is just that. It's a mind control trick. And then I would quit my job. I would fire everyone in government and then quit my job.
Are you
And then go be a normal
uncorruptible? So you're uncorruptible.
That's my intention.
Nathan,
Yeah,
you're the
my
first person I
intention
ever
is to
met
be-
that's uncorruptible. Good job, man.
that's my intention is to be.
I'm
as
a
pure
vote
as
for you.
possible.
I'm gonna vote for you.
Thanks.
Run
Well, I'm not
for
gonna
office.
run. I'm not gonna run for government. That's not what I'm gonna do.
And that's
So,
the first thing you want to hear out of people who are uncorruptible is they wouldn't run for office because it's a very corruptible
You
position.
know, everyone's corruptible.
And human beings just have to avoid scenarios, realistically, that make them corrupted is the biggest portion of that whole thing. But
So
sadly,
within-
that's all
within-
we're given.
within 7
is
billion
corruptible scenarios to where we get opportunity
within
to be opportunistic and take advantage of other people.
within
It's
7 billion
difficult.
people, within 7 billion people, I think that there's a foundation somewhere within that. I don't know how you find those people where they truly are uncorruptible. Maybe that doesn't exist. Maybe it does, and it's a small percentage.
Man, that's a joke.
But no, hold on. Within 7 billion people, Jesse, you can't say that is a joke. There has to be uncorruptible people to where you could
I
start
talk about
a
the
movement.
hierarchy all the fucking time.
Hold
bro.
on. Where you could start something like we're talking about. Where you, I mean, and not that those people would be overarching, and I don't know, man. It is tough. It is a weird thing to think about.
Nathan's dream world,
There's-
Paul Weiss's fucking dream world,
Jesse,
Johnny
Jesse,
Clark's dream world, Jesse
Jesse.
Westbrook's fucking dream world. Guess what? There is opportunity for corruption.
Always,
That's
always.
Given opportunity will always, over a long enough period of time, become corrupted.
You don't
and
know
people
that.
will take advantage
You
of that.
don't know that.
And that is the human
You don't know
nature
that. You don't know
we
that.
live in.
Do you know?
Yes.
Do you know why you don't know
One-
that, Jesse?
Yes.
Do you know why?
All the numbers show this, Paul.
Bullshit.
All the numbers.
Jesse.
Everything in fucking humanity shows this.
Bullshit.
So you cannot be.
Do you know what?
can't even argue against
Yes,
it.
I can. Yes,
you're
I
gonna say,
can.
oh, you're going to be different. You're going to be the better person given in a position of power to all of a
Hear
sudden
me
you're going
out.
to do shit. Or, man, we vote in something better. Or, oh, this
Hear
and
me
it'll
out.
be better there. And
Hear
it
me
won't
out.
be corrupted over a long enough period of time. I
Hear
think just
me-
human beings might be pieces of shit.
Hear me out.
That might just be our issue.
No, hear me
is
out.
Human beings have.
Again, you fail to realize the
Have that.
fact. You fail to realize the fact that what we were born into, all of us, was already that way. What you're describing, there could have been a time on this earth where that was not the case, and people, what the conversation, Nathan, that we're having, what you're describing, that existed on Earth.
Then how did it change to
What?
this?
Yeah.
There could have
yeah.
been a- there could have-
how was there any progression then?
Because
How was anybody
dude,
doing work?
Chill. Hold on.
Makes no fucking
There could-
sense, Paul.
well,
makes no fucking
on
sense.
this earth,
Somebody
that,
had to
Let
been
Paul-
out
hey,
for their
Jesse,
own.
let Paul
Dude.
talk. Let him have his side.
there could have been a cataclysm that could have wiped off that civilization, which you guys both attest to science and you agree with comets and all this shit that could destroy and wipe out humanity. That's a possibility, man. Talk about Atlantis. When you can sit there and go down that road. There has been a time where there wasn't a mass amount of population that was subjected to mass
You don't know
amounts of propaganda.
You don't know that.
I don't know that, but I'm just going to go out on a limb here and sit there and
transcend
say
human
that.
beings to what they actually are. Man, human beings are always out for themselves on some survival level. You have to.
don't know
Man,
that.
I'm not about to go down this road. It's
Okay,
gonna
so
take
we're
too long.
yeah.
You got to finish
Nathan-
the podcast.
Nathan-
'Cause I got like 30 minutes for I have to bounce.
Yeah, he's got to bounce here shortly, man. Nathan, go ahead,
I
real
would say
quick.
that it's dangerous to make assumptions about other people. It's dangerous to make assumptions about how the past could be or the future could be. I personally do believe that humanity's gone through ups and downs. I think there are all different range of spectrum of people. There's extremely evil people in the world. There's extremely good people in the world. I've met quite a few people that are definitely, compared to the evildoers, on a much better path. And there's a lot of spiritual traditions that are they can get contaminated over time, but they were originally intended to try to create an easy path for people to ascend in terms of spirit. Freemasonry being a good example. In the Freemasonic tracing boards, they had a checkerboard floor of the house on the tracing board, which is like an allegorical picture that has encoded spiritual information, and then they had a ladder to higher consciousness with an all-seeing eye at the top, and they had a black and white pillar representing duality and stuff. And the goal of the true Mason, trying to build the good world of freedom, not the dark Mason, but the good Mason, was to rise in terms of consciousness, granting you more power and more spiritual abilities, more ability to affect the external world. And really, I would just ask you, if you assume everyone is evil in reality, what are you going for? What is your intention? What is it that you want to be? Because I don't need to worry about everyone in reality. That's not the point. The meaning of life comes from figuring out what it is that you're into and then going for that. So personally, I would just rather have the best possible reality. I'm into pleasure over pain. I'm into
Hedonistic?
peace over war.
You're more hedonistic?
Well, I'm just more overall well-rounded. I would be more into pleasure than pain if I had to choose between the two.
I mean,
I'm
you have to have the balance.
over
Like,
pain.
how could you experience pleasure if you didn't have the understanding of pain too on the other side? Which is why hedonism is a joke to a lot of
Unfortunately, in my
like.
life, I have experienced a lot of pain. But
Yeah,
now
no,
that I
so
see
then-
pain,
okay,
I've
so
seen
now
pain,
you have the
and I don't
balance.
want that. I don't want evil. I don't want to violate others' free will. I want people to get along. I can't control everyone. There's people out there who love evil. They get off on it. A lot of people out there who do. That's their
absolutely.
life. It's their life. I can't control what they do. We can protect ourselves from those people, with using firearms and using other weapons. Really, we should have access to all weapons. The government claiming that they have special rights, like they are allowed to have nuclear bombs and no one else is. That's dark age mentality.
I mean, you want your little niece Jenny like having the number to the nuclear code?
If you imagine,
Like she
in
watches
Type 1
Dora
society-
and gets upset that fuck, man, Dora didn't save the animal. I wanted her to fucking just nuke it all. Like you don't want that
Imagine a
either,
Type 1
bro.
society
You don't want that either.
Where individuals were traveling in space with a spaceship. If you were traveling in deep space, and this is a futuristic,
I've ate
science
shrooms. I've
fiction
traveled
thing,
deep space.
You would need a nuclear device if you're traveling on a spaceship in deep space, and you're going to have to get the resources to build that nuke from some kind of planetary system. And in a balanced Type 1 society, you would be able to go to Earth, build your nuclear defense arsenal, then take your starship into deep space. And if you encounter a negative entity or a negative, spaceship that's attacking you, you're going to need serious weaponry in that case. See, we're stuck in this paradigm right now where all we can see is the manifested reality. And people get lost in that, and they lose the ability to even imagine how things could be. So, the process of human evolution is to develop some of these spiritual abilities, but also just basic common sense understandings that all men have equal rights. No person in reality can claim that they have any more rights than anyone else. And the government is the number one psychopathic institution right now that you can point to that is constantly violating these principles. And they're always using fear, and they're justifying this by saying we're making you safe because we're the only ones who have nukes and we're the only ones who have predator drones. And if the common man had access to these items, well, then it would just be chaos everywhere.
Yep.
But then you look and see who's starting all the chaos. Right now, it's Russia. What is Russia? The Russian government and military. That's, again, a governmental authoritative system. That's the exact same thing we have here. They just decide one day they're going to go bomb a bunch of children in Ukraine. Yeah.
Do that. You ended it beautifully, man. I'm sorry. And we got to cut it off, man, because Jesse's got to leave here shortly.
I was going to say, I got to get going, too.
You ended it beautifully, man. And I have your email. You have mine. We're going to hit it up again.
Oh, this was fucking amazing.
Nate, are you a traveling man?
Well, right now I'm kind of stuck in Missouri. I'm definitely a mind traveler, with psychedelics and plant medicines and stuff here and there. I haven't been doing that lately, but that's one of the things that I like. So you develop your sense of imagination with the psychedelics. If you can't tell, I'm a pretty imaginative person.
Man, we just need to have you back on for maybe a more just like focused on like that.
I have
level.
his email. We're gonna hit it up. We're gonna figure out a podcast where we can have you on, and it'll be. Well, we'll know what we're going to talk about as opposed to just a free flow podcast type of thing. Because, dude,
my intention was to help you guys and to bring good content and stuff and get my voice out and stuff too.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh,
thanks
great
for having
content.
me on.
Great content.
Yeah. So, is there anywhere where we can find you? You said you had a podcast, man. Where can we find you?
Yeah. Right now, my channel on YouTube is Crystal Spider, and the best way to find it is to type in Crystal Spider Guitar because I do guitar, like shreddy metal guitar too. So type in Crystal.
What do you do covers of, bro? Dude, I play guitar. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave that for later.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got excited. I'm sorry. I'll leave that for
I just
later.
got a new 8-string. I just got a new 8-string. It's pretty sweet.
Bro,
so.
John Butler Trio. How do you feel about him or that band? John Butler Trio. Just real quick. Do you know
I
them?
haven't heard of it. Yeah.
God damn it. Oh, I need to get in contact with you. All right.
Either way, we're going to do
cool.
a podcast, and we're going to end it there, man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So we can find you one more time on YouTube. Where can we find you? Sorry.
Just search Crystal Spider Guitar.
Okay.
My channel name's Crystal Spider. I had a disaster last year. I lost a lot of my old work, you know, so I'm busy re-uploading things, getting on different platforms and stuff. So
Send Paul
the
link in the the link in Skype, and he'll put it in the description.
Yeah, or email.
Okay.
For sure.
Oh, that's
For
great.
sure.
Yeah, I'm on BitChute as well, Crystal Spider. I only have one video on BitChute. I'm gonna upload all my old stuff though. I've got it archived and stuff. So.
Hey, TikTok, my man. I'm sorry. I know you might not want to, but do it.
Oh, I'm on TikTok. Yeah,
All right.
Crystal Spider 420 is my name on TikTok. I do spiritual teachings and guitar shredding.
What's 420 mean? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, bro.
Rock on, Nathan. Well, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining Talk Junkies. You have a good night.
Bro, thank you so much. Like,
Oh, thank you
thank
guys
you
for sure.
so much. You were
Pleasure
awesome.
talking to you.
And
You were awesome.
thanks for having Paul Paul Unslaved. That's how I found you guys.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Paul's a good guy.
Until next time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, take it easy.
Cheers.
Yes.
To all our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the bell. Shit. Fucking